Today I've got two firearms here that I've wanted to do a video on for some time. These two firearms are Winchester Model 94 Canadian Centennials. The one on the top is the carbine version and the one on the bottom is the rifle. The carbine has a 20-inch barrel and a saddle ring, and the rifle has a 26-inch barrel and doesn't have a saddle ring. Other than that, they're virtually identical. Winchester manufactured these firearms in 1967 to commemorate Canada's 100th year birthday as a federation. You might ask yourself, well, why is Winchester back then was a U.S. based company? Why are they celebrating Canada's birthday? Well, in 1961, Winchester did purchase the Cooey firearms manufacturing plant in Cobourg, Ontario, where they did move some of their manufacturing there. So Winchester did have a plant in Canada. So they decided to celebrate with this run of commemorative rifles and carbines. About 90,000 were made, and these two happen to be consecutive serial number guns, and they came as a set. As you can see, these rifles have beautiful octagon barrels, and the wood furniture on them is also pretty nice. I mean, there's some figure to the fore ends, and the stocks are pretty decent as well. And you notice that if I can get the camera to focus, there are some roll stampings on the side of both the receivers, and they're the Canadian maple leaf. There's actually 5 on this side and 5 on the other, and they represent Canada's 10 province and northern territories. So we've kind of gone over some of the good things with the octagon barrel and the kind of nice roll stampings on the receiver and the nice wood. But we do have to remember that these rifles were produced in 1967. And in 1967, for those of you who know some of Winchester's history, in 1964, Winchester changed the way it manufactured their Model 94s, and they kind of cheapened up the rifle, and that was because they didn't want to have to put the price tag over $100, and they still wanted to make a profit. So they had to come up with some new ways of manufacturing. And what they did was the receivers they made out of powdered metal, which they injected into a mold and then heated up to form the receiver. The receiver is still nice and strong. The only real difference is that it's called sintered metal. That metal had a lot of chrome alloy in it, and it didn't really take a traditional blue very good. So what Winchester actually ended up doing was they put a black chrome plating on the exterior of the receivers as the blue. It's pretty durable. The chrome actually gave it some corrosion resistance. However, this chrome plating, if not taken care of, has a tendency to chip and flake. And another thing, if you ever do get some rust on your receiver, it's almost impossible to get it back to looking like its original condition, because you can't use a standard bluing process. It just turns out a mess if you try it. So once it's ruined, you're in pretty bad shape. Some of the other negatives about the post 64 manufactured Winchesters is the fact that they did use a stamped steel shell carrier or shell lifter, and these have that. I'm not going to, I haven't shot these, and I probably won't shoot them much if I do, so it's not a huge deal for me. And also, Winchester used hollow roll pins to put some of the components together. That's, as far as I am concerned, hollow roll pins are just fine. They're strong enough to take care of the job that they were intended. I think one of the major visual issues with the post 64 models was the wood on them was pretty crappy. But like I said, the wood on these guns is relatively nice. So with what's the value of these guns? Well, these are unfired. They're basically new in the box. I do have both the original boxes with all the paperwork included. The value's probably in the $600, maybe $700 range a piece. But that is, it's kind of be debated. Its value of something is whatever somebody will pay for it. Brand new in 1967, these retailed for $125 a piece. But the value for me is, and the reason that I purchased these guns is they have kind of a sentimental value to me. I grew up hunting in central Wisconsin, and throughout the 80s and 90s and early 2000s, I hunted up there with my uncle on his farm, and he had one of these Centennial commemorative Canadian rifles, and I was just like always intrigued by it, and I'm just like, wow, that's kind of a nice gun. And I always liked Winchester Model 94s, and I saw his gun, and I'm just like, yeah, that's kind of neat, the maple leafs and the octagonal barrel, kind of a cool looking gun. So as I got older, I was always kind of looking around for one, and I never really found one that it was in good enough shape and the price was right, and so I just didn't purchase one. But then I saw these, and they were new in the box, everything was included, and the price was right. So I just couldn't say no. I had to purchase them. They're just too good to pass up. And the thing about the value of these guns, if they're like consecutive serial numbers like these, they're a little bit more valuable. And if they're new in the box and never been shot, they're a little bit more value too. However, for me, I like to shoot my guns, and the real value of these guns is more sentimental than anything else. So I probably at some point will shoot them. Experts say that you probably lose about $200 of the value, but it doesn't really matter to me because I'm not going to sell them. So I thought I'd bring you this quick video, kind of more or less showing off these guns, and also the fact that that they turned 50 this year, so it seemed like a good time to do it. And thanks for watching.